How's it going? It's Ethan here at eTrailer. Right now we're going to be taking a look at the RockyMounts GuideRail Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on our 2021 Honda CR-V. This is going to be a 2-bike platform style rack capable of supporting 2 bikes up to 60 pounds. It's going to hold on to our bikes with this dual wheel mount design, so 1 hoop on the back, 1 hoop on the front tire, which is nice if you want to accommodate different wheelbases and make sure that your bikes aren't making contact with one another while you're driving. Also, because there's no frame contact, you can get your carbon frame bikes on here, alternative frame bikes, and you can get some e-bikes on here as long as they have less than a 3-inch or less tire width. So this does have a lot of cool features and things that we're going to check out. But the first one is going to be the fact that we do have the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded up. And I really like where this handle is located because it's in the front. If I have another bike loaded up here, I'm not going to have to worry about reaching around through anything. So I'll pull this, and it helps out a little bit, but it is a pretty aggressive tilt. So if you have a really heavy bike or 2 loaded up, I could see that being a lot more challenging. But because it does tilt so aggressively, we have tons of room here to open up our hatch, and even more back here if we want to. I could sit and change my shoes or do whatever I need to do before or after the ride, and now would be a great time to grab sunscreen, waters, helmets, whatever I'm going to need once I get there. And we have tons of room for it. Tilting the rack back up though is kind of a little tricky, and again, if you have 2 really heavy bikes loaded up, getting the leverage from just this point here could be kind of tough to do. That being said, from here we'll go ahead and work on getting the bike off. But we're going to need to do that. We're going to press this lever in towards the tray, just like that, and then we'll lift up on it. And now I'll start holding on to the frame of my bike just in case we start moving around, and push this wheel hoop down. Also on here you can see that we do have a couple different sizes for different tires, so we do have the tool included to accommodate those different tire sizes if we want to, right there on the wheel hoops. And now we'll press this button on the back, still holding on to the frame, lift that lever up, push that out of the way, and now we can get the bike off. I'll set this off to the side, and we can take a closer look at the tray and the cradles, specifically just this tray design and the fact that we unfortunately do have that limitation of only being able to get a tire width of 3 inches on here. One of the only real drawbacks of this rack, but we'll get these arms folded down and out of the way. On this back one, I'll close this up so you can hear that ratcheting as it makes those micro adjustments that it would be making on your tire. Also on the tray, I do just want to point out that we have this opening here. That's going to be for your heavy duty chain lock. It's just going to fit right in there, and we'll secure that with this metal lock core here in the front. So you put the chain in and lock it up with that key. But you won't want to drive with that chain on because it is really heavy duty and it is quite a large chain. From here though, I'm going to get a couple of measurements just to see what it's like to add this onto your vehicle. Starting with that distance from the bumper to the furthest point out. It's only going to be about 29.5 inches, so it is really compact for the kind of rack that it is. As far as ground clearance goes, we're going to have 22 inches from the ground to this lever here at the back. And we do have that stadium design here, so you can see one tray is higher than the other. Just another way that we're going to limit that bike-to-bike contact. If we want to though, from this point, we can fold the rack up towards the vehicle to save a little bit more space, pulling that same lever that we used to tilt the rack away. You'll hear it click into place again, and I'll get a couple more measurements. The first just being how close we're sitting to the inside here. So we still have about 3.5 inches from the bumper to the closest tray. And now from the bumper to the furthest point out, it's going to be about 13 inches. So we save a good amount of space that way, but it wasn't super huge to begin with. So it is just nice that we have that as an option if you want to fold it up with the bikes off. That being said, from here you might be curious to know, what's this going to block on the back of my vehicle? How's it going to look when I'm not driving with the bikes on? So fortunately the backup camera is a little bit off-centered, but unfortunately it is pretty much directly at this top tray. That being said, it's better that it's off-centered so it's not just hitting the entire middle of our rack. And you're still going to have windows to see what you want to see, whether it's people or cars out of the sides. Our backup, or our license plate rather, is going to be pretty much right there in the middle. There are going to be a couple angles where you should be able to see that from different cars especially, but it is pretty heavily blocked. Fortunately, the rack is low enough that it's not going to interfere with our taillights at all or our rear window. From here though, we're going to take a closer look at how it fits into the hitch receiver on our CRV. So the rack itself does use a 2-inch shank in this case to fit into our 2-inch hitch receiver. It's held in place by this anti-rattle bolt and this lock pod at the end that's going to be key to that chain lock cord we talked about just before. So with that anti-rattle bolt and the overall build quality of Rocky Mounts, it's not going anywhere, shakes the whole car. It's very, very secure in the hitch. Also, there is a 3-bike version, or rather an add-on to turn this into a 3-bike rack if you want to get one more bike where you need it to go. So overall, the RockyMounts GuideRail, I do like it for a couple reasons. First and foremost being just that limitation on bike-to-bike contact. Whether that's by using the wheelbases or by that stadium-style design, it does tilt, it does fold. It tilts aggressively enough for us to get hatch access, which is a really nice feature. That being said, I do just wish that the tire width maximum was a little bit higher than 3 inches, just because if you want to get a fat bike tire on here, you're just not going to be able to. So if you do have tires that are a little bit wider and you want to look at something that works in a similar fashion but not quite the same tray style design, you could look at something like the Kuat NV 2.0. If you get the fat bike adapter straps for that, you can accommodate those larger bikes up to 60 pounds as well. You also get a nice looking rack with a built-in bike repair stand, but it's going to be at more premium price. If you want something that comes in at a really affordable value that's going to work really well and look really nice at the same time, the RockyMounts GuideRail is definitely a really solid option. This again was just a quick look at how it works and how it fits on our 2021 Honda CR-V.